In my last video, we discussed some harsh truths on the topic of young NBA talent that will not be living up to the hype that they came in with. The time came for us to acknowledge that those players will not be as good as many of us thought they would be, and for today's video, we're staying on this kind of topic, but going to the opposite end of the spectrum. In today's video, we will be discussing 4 struggling young NBA players in particular that may have gotten off to slow starts in their NBA careers, but you would be foolish to give up on them moving forward. Before we start though, I want to thank Cloaked for sponsoring today's video. For any of you who are active online users browsing on a daily basis, Cloaked is right down your alley. With Cloaked, you can protect your digital identity in all aspects without worry of spam or potential data breaches leaking your information, by providing you with an all-in-one privacy solution. Cloaked instantly generates working phone numbers, emails, usernames, and passwords for use on things such as online shopping, filling out forms, dating apps, loyalty programs, and service inquiries, allowing you to interact with these things without fear of your information being spread around. All of those things tend to give tempting offers when you sign up with them, so now you can take advantage of those offers while still being secure. It's more important than ever to prioritize online safety. Never let your data be exposed again. Choose Cloaked. From September 12th to October 3rd, Cloaked goes into closed testing, but for my audience, if you go to cloaked.app/hoops, you can bypass the waitlist, and then use my code HOOPS for 20% off your first 3 months. Once again, thank you to Cloaked for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first young player we'll be discussing today that you would be foolish to give up on despite their early struggles is Jabari Smith Jr. of the Houston Rockets. Jabari, for a lot of the pre-draft process, was actually viewed by many as the top prospect in the class of 2022. He rose up draft boards quickly throughout the course of the college season, and by the time the draft came around, a lot of mock drafts had his name being number 1 overall chosen, only for things to get shaken up last minute when the Magic chose instead to draft Paolo Banchero number 1, and then Smith fell down to the 3rd pick. He then had a very lackluster rookie season filled with inconsistencies shooting the ball, confidence issues, and an inability to find ways to assert himself while out on the floor, so now, 1 year later, he's been viewed as a potential bust by some, but I am still very confident in him taking strides forward towards reaching his ceiling in the coming years. For one, pretty much every rookie struggles with inconsistency and with being efficient. Secondly, the Rockets may have been the most poorly coached team in the league over the last few years, and when you're playing alongside ball-dominant, score-first guards like Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. without proper structure in place, it's a recipe for disaster for a wing player like Jabari. The Rockets brought in Ime Udoka to set up some structure as a more established coach this season, which I believe will do worlds of good for Smith. And then thirdly, Smith played in the Summer League this summer and lit it up, dropping 33 points in one game and then 38 points in another, showing that he's getting his confidence back, and if he can find the shooting stroke that he had in college again, then that combined with his unbelievable defensive potential still gives you so many reasons to be excited about Jabari's future. The next young player you would be foolish to give up on despite their early struggles is Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. Back in 2021, Kuminga may not have been the consensus best prospect in his draft class, but he was definitely one of the most intriguing. He's a 6'8" wing player with a 7-foot wingspan, he's quick, he's an impressive athlete, and he was showing early signs of impressive ball skills, but he was also very raw as a prospect, with obvious need for development. When the Warriors drafted him 7th overall that year, some felt as though the Warriors were going to shift in a new direction, more towards rebuilding, but they then went on to win another championship, clearly putting those thoughts on hold. That also meant that the development of the team's younger talent got put on hold, which obviously included Kuminga, and as a result, he has seen his role in the team's rotation fluctuate a ton. Sometimes he's been one of the first guys off the bench, he's started 28 games throughout 2 seasons, and other times he's been benched entirely, and it's hard for someone as young and raw as Kuminga is to improve when he's on such a short leash on a team with lofty expectations. I still believe in his physical tools and natural gifts to pan out down the line, and he's also still just 20 years old, with his entire career ahead of him. Had he been drafted by a team closer to the bottom of the standings that was actually focused on rebuilding and development, we would probably have an entirely different view of Kuminga as a player. He now finds himself in trade rumors, so we'll have to see how that plays out, but if a deal does come about, then hopefully it can be to a team that actually wants to give him a chance, because understandably the Warriors are not in a situation to do that as long as Steph Curry is in town trying to win championships. The next young player you would be foolish to give up on despite their early struggles in the league is Davion Mitchell of the Sacramento Kings. Mitchell was drafted 9th overall in the 2021 draft, and he even had a pretty solid rookie season all things considered. He shot up draft boards back then because of the run he and his Baylor team went on in March Madness when they won the championship, and he individually played a huge role in that. He was highly touted because of his incredible defensive tenacity as a perimeter defender that hounds opposing ball handlers, and he also shot the ball a red-hot 45% from 3 in his final season in college, so that two-way potential was obviously turning the heads of scouts. As I said in the beginning, he had a pretty good rookie season, but then this year his minutes and overall production took a pretty noticeable dip as he scored just 5 points per game, plus he's shot just 32% from 3 each of the last 2 seasons. But even though he may not ever be a go-to scorer at the NBA level, he already has one very important skill that he is elite at. His perimeter defense has already shown that it could be good enough to merit making the all-defensive team one day, and the reason why his minutes went down last year was because the Kings added more depth in general, hence why the team took such a big step forward in the standings. Mitchell showed in college that he could be a very good shooter from 3, so if or when he gets his 3-point percentage up closer to or above league average, he's going to be a very impactful player in their rotation, more so than he already is. And finally, the last young player I believe it would be foolish to give up on despite early struggles in their career is Moses Moody of the Golden State Warriors. Almost everything that I said earlier while discussing Jonathan Kuminga also applies to Moses Moody, because it just so happens that they were both lottery picks in the same draft, which is another reason why many believe that the Warriors at the time were going to shift towards a rebuild, because in hindsight, they could have traded those lottery picks for more win-now talent, but they instead chose to keep the picks and draft Kuminga and Moody. And I know I sound like a Warriors fan right now, including both of them in this video, but I can assure you that I'm not. I'm just a believer in the talent that they have, and think that they are the result of their situation. Moody was drafted at the end of the lottery in 2021 because he had all of the makings of a very good 3-and-D player at minimum, and the sneaky flashes of playmaking that he displayed made you believe that he could be a reliable secondary shot creator at his best. He's even had a few breakout games in the NBA, including a 30-point game as a rookie and a 25-point game last season, but he too sees his minutes and overall role fluctuate way too much to truly break out. When he is in the rotation, he's barely played over 10 minutes per game, he's had countless DNPs while healthy, and he's also on a very short leash in Golden State, where if he makes a mistake or two, he's benched in favor of the more experienced players. And again, I don't blame the Warriors for being this way, due to the fact that their time is running out to contend for titles, but I also don't blame the young players for failing to produce at a high level under the circumstances either. I know Moody's 4 points per game look pretty underwhelming for a lottery player, but he's just 21 years old, learning a system with some all-time great talent around him, so when his turn does arrive down the line, I think he'll prove to be worth it. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the futures of these players. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.